Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salatun wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa. لا سيما المصطفى صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new episode of Ask Huda. Unfortunately, we only have one number that is active today. And the number is, as it appears on the screen, is area code 002-02-3855-249. 249. So the 248 isn't working today. There's a problem and they're trying to fix it. So stick to this number, inshaAllah Azza. And the email address is, as usual, Huda, ask@huda.tv. Barakallah feekum. While we're waiting for your valuable questions and phone calls, there is just a couple of pending questions from the last episode. Sister Shahida from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia asked about her mother. She said she died 2 days ago. May Allah have mercy on her. I ask Allah the Great to have mercy on her and to admit her to His paradise. Ameen. And grant you patience. She said, what can I do for her now? Well, there is plenty of things that you can assist your late mother with. The most important and the foremost is, number one, ad-du'a. That's one thing which definitely benefits the dead person after his death. And that's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stated that in a very sound and very great hadith, when he said that when the son of Adam dies, all his deeds would come to an end except from 3 ways. And he mentioned a waladin salihin yad'u lah, or a good child who will pray for him after his death. Specifying a righteous child does not really mean that it's got to be his child or his son or daughter alone, but because one who cares most about his parents is the children, whether the son or the daughter. Otherwise, the dua from any individual to any person who passed away would definitely benefit him or her, inshaAllah Azza Jal. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed the funeral prayer. The purpose of the funeral prayer, and why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a great word and virtue for offering Salatul Janaza, similar to the amount of Uhud reward, is in order to encourage the Muslimin together to pray for the person who passed away, so that he will be eligible for Allah's mercy, and Allah will accept the intercession of those believers who are offering the funeral prayer for the deceased. So whether from a relative or a faraway person, the dua would definitely benefit him. In addition to, due to many other references, sound hadith, that it is permissible for the person to do Umrah or Hajj on behalf of a deceased, especially if they didn't get to do it, whether due to health problems or financial restrictions. Also, you can give any charity on behalf of your mother and donate the reward of this specific charity to her, and that inshaAllah Azza Jal will definitely reach her. It can be considered sadaqah jariyah, or a continuous charity, whether it was done by the person who died himself before his death, or by any of his heirs or anybody else, as long as he donated the reward to that person. And whether it was done from his own money, from her own money, or from the donor's money. I mean, I can just give a waqf or endowment or donation to any person, whether this person is my parents, my uncles and aunts, whether I know or not, like a great sheikh, for instance, whom I love so much, or my teacher, did not have children, and I'm worried that he does not get many prayers or invocations or hasanat. So I give this donation. I say, oh Allah, give him the reward of this donation. I read Quran and I say, after I finish, oh Allah bless him. So after doing a good deed, I seize this opportunity to make dua for him. That will benefit him as well. Once again, Sister Shahida, may Allah have mercy on your mother, and may Allah give you all patience. Ameen. First call of today, Ahmed from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I have a problem of white discharge. I have taken many medication. Still the problem persists. Is it mandatory to clean for each prayer and take wudu?
Okay. What is the medical problem exactly?
White discharge, actually. From the urinary, that some white discharge comes.
Okay.
I have done treatment for it, but this problem still persists.
Okay.
So is it mandatory to clean for each prayer and take wudu?
Okay.
Or is it highly recommended?
طيب. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you, Ahmed, and may Allah give you shifa. Jazakumullah khairan for calling in. Shahida also had another question, which is, when is it obligatory for a child to offer namaz or the prayer? We have a couple of hadith who are very essential in order to answer this question. The first one, in which the Prophet ﷺ said, رُفِعَ الْقَلَمُ عَنْ ثَلَاث, or عن ثلاثة. The pen which records son of Adam's deeds, whether good or bad, has been lifted, or it does not write down the deeds of any of the following categories. 3. النائم حتى يستيقظ. Whenever a person is asleep, he is not responsible for anything that he does while he is asleep or under medication, under anesthesia, until he gets up and until he is fully awake. That's why if somebody flips over and he had a child next to him, and it happens, and the child is suffocated or killed or whatever, that's called an accidental killing. It's not deliberate. The second case is الصبي حتى يحتلم, a child until he attains or reaches the age of puberty. And the third is المجنون حتى يفيق, the insane person until he recovers his sanity. So whenever a person is asleep or under the age of puberty or is insane, not aqil, is not required to pray. There are some temporary issues, such as if a person is asleep. But there are some long-term things, such as long as the person is under the age of puberty, whether he attains the age of puberty at the age of 10, 11, 12, or afterward, if he does not see any of the physiological signs or physical signs, then at the age of 15 we say now he attained the puberty age, then the prayer is a must. The prayer is a must. It is a fard. But it doesn't mean that the child is not required to pray as means of preparing for the prayer, learning how to pray, and getting in line along with the Muslims to offer the prayers. It becomes only mandatory at the age of puberty. But before that, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated, as it is recorded by Imam Ahmad in his Musnad, that the Prophet ﷺ said, you must command your children to pray at the age of 7. In another dialect or narration, teach your children how to pray at the age of 7, and discipline them for offering the prayer or for not offering the prayer. If they do not offer the prayer regularly, then you gotta discipline them at the age of 10. Which means you must take it serious that they must be offering the prayer regularly. In order to prepare them, once they attain the age of puberty, the prayer becomes a very easy matter for them, which they are already used to. Okay, Jazakumullahu khairan. Another phone call. Awal from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Awal.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Well, go ahead.
MashaAllah. My question is, there is a dispute between two groups of ulama here in Nigeria, that whenever someone calls the name of his imam, for example, if I say Dr. Muhammad Salah, so some people say it is permissible for me to say Radiallahu Anhu, may Allah be pleased with you, while others say no, it is not permissible. This is only attributed to the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. So I would like to know the Sharia stand on that.
Okay. Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you, Awal. It's a very important question. Okay, a third question from Shahida. Is it better to read Quran before or after offering the tahajjud prayer? Both are okay. If we are asking about which one is better, to read Quran by itself or to read Quran within the prayer, obviously reading the Quran within the prayer, even from the Quran or looking at the open Quran or holding the Quran, is better because you combine between two great virtues, praying and reading the Quran. The best time to offer the night prayer is during the last 1/3 of the night. This is a time in which the Prophet ﷺ said that our Lord, the greatest and the most high, descends by himself to our worldly sky, and he stretches out his hand with mercy, with forgiveness, and answering the dua of those who are invoking him, and so on. So this is the best time to offer the tahajjud prayer. Somebody feels fresh and he can get up earlier and he reads Quran, then afterward prays, that's fine. Or postpone the recitation of the Quran in the remaining time after tahajjud and before Fajr, and there is no fear that he or she might fall asleep and miss Fajr prayer, that too is fine, there is no problem. And this time also is a time which is worthy of making dua, because the dua is most likely to be answered during this time of the night. So you can make it after you finish your recitation of the Quran. You can make it while praying in every sajda, in every sujood, and after reciting the Durood Sharif at Tashahhud and before making taslim, or after the prayer or in the qunut of the witr. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Sister Juwayriya from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, sir, I have a question regarding, like, for example, what is the ruling for a man to marry, for a man that has that is a carrier of sickle cell anemia, to marry a person who has the disease? Please, what is the ruling?
What is the disease exactly again?
Sickle cell anemia.
Okay, anemia.
Yes.
Okay, so we're not talking about a contagious disease.
No, it's not contagious. It's not contagious. It's genetical.
Okay, does this affect the fetus afterward if she were to conceive?
Yes, it does affect.
Okay, how bad is it?
Hello?
How bad is it?
It is really bad because majority of her offspring will be like, they'll have the disease.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sister Juwayriya. Jazakumullahu khairan. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you. Abrar asked a question which has been asked many times concerning the length of the beard. First of all, we all agree that according to the vast majority of the Muslim scholars and based on the sound hadith collected by Bukhari or Muslim and others, that the Prophet ﷺ ordered Muslim men to shave their beards and trim their mustaches. And most of the fuqaha said it's a wajib, it's a must, because the hadith are very clear and there is no different interpretation. He said amongst the traditions of the pure nature is to shave the beard. He ordered in one hadith a straightforward command, which is أوفروا اللحى, leave it to grow without shorten it, without shaving it, and so on. So from all of that, we understand that according to most of the fuqaha, it's a must. As far as whether it's permissible to trim it or not, that's a point of difference of opinions between the scholars. Based on a hadith or an opinion narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that during Hajj and after tahallul and so on, he used to trim his beard after one fist holding his beard, the length of one fist. So there is a difference of opinion in this regard. But the Prophet ﷺ, the companion narrated that when he was praying, they could tell that when he was reciting, seeing his beard moving even from behind his shoulders. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Fasih, and this is the last of the pending question, said that his uncle has a colleague who, after my uncle greets him with Assalamu alaikum, he replies Wa alaikum. Or perhaps it is the other way around. This is how I get the question. Let's take this phone call first and we'll answer Fasih's question. Assalamu alaikum. Abu Bakr from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Yes. Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. I have a question. There is a lady here from one of the African countries, and she is in love with another fellow from the same country. But actually, she is a Muslim, and the guy is a Christian. So back in their home country, her parents are aware of the relationship, and they are strictly against it. So I have been giving her fatwa, I have been advising her that there is no marriage between her and that gentleman. But she is telling me that the guy is ready to embrace Islam. So what do you think is the position?
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, Abu Bakr. Thank you for asking this question. With regards to the greeting of a non-Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. If you have been greeted with a greeting, you must give one which is better than the one which you were greeted with, or at least reply with the same. He did not specify that the greeting from a Muslim or a non-Muslim. So if a non-Muslim greeted me, good morning, I'd say good morning, and I would be also recommended to say, how are you this morning, and how is everything, have a great day. This is how we were commanded, to greet the person who greets me with a better greeting, or at least the minimum is to pay back a similar greeting. What if he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh? I'm recommended then to say, Wa alaikum assalam. The Prophet ﷺ used to say, Wa alaikum to the Jews because he knew that they used to say, Assalamu alayka ya Muhammad. And there is a big difference between As-salam and Assam. Assam in Arabic means death. So by dropping the letter lam from As-salam, which is peace, they would convert it to Assam. So they would say, Assalamu alayk, which means may death be upon you. So that's why he used to say, not wa alaykum as-salam, rather he would say, wa alaykum. And that's why when Aisha, radiyallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha, the mother of the believers, heard them once, she recognized that they're not saying Assalamu alaikum, rather they're saying Assamu. And that's why she was very angry, and she replied to them with the same, said, rather, but death be upon you, you are such and such. And she insulted them. The Prophet ﷺ forbade her, and he said, Ya Aisha, a Muslim should not be insulted, rather. She said, Ya Rasulullah, don't you know what they said? He said, I knew that they're saying death, not peace. But Ya Aisha, did you hear my reply? My reply was, Wa alaykum, and upon you too. Allah will not answer their dua of calling death upon me, but He will answer my prayer against them when I say Wa alaykum, but rather may death, or whatever you say, be upon you, not upon me. So if somebody said Assalamu alaikum, I would say Wa alaikum assalam. And by the way, when a Muslim says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and you say wa alaykum, that means and a similar greeting be upon you. But it is best to say wa alaykum assalam in case of a non-Muslim greeted you with assalamu alaikum. Relating to that, is it okay for a Muslim to begin a non-Muslim with the greeting? Yes, it is okay. You go to work and you see your non-Muslim colleague who is working side by side with you at the same office, or your teacher, your professor, your boss, your employer, your employee. It's okay to say good morning. The greeting of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh is for Muslims to begin with it. But if a non-Muslim greeted you with it, you reply with it. But if you want to begin somebody who is not a Muslim with a greeting, you greet him with his own greeting. Good morning, good evening, how are you, what's up, whatever greeting that's common among these guys, as long as it does not have any violation in our religion. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Muhammad from Egypt, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh, Sheikh Muhammad.
Go ahead.
I'm working at a hotel for 7 years. Thanks God, I'm not serving anyone. But actually, I'm suffering from the money, the salary itself. It's not enough for my life. I know there is no place for the money, and it's. I have a lot of doubt about working there. But I thank God I don't do anything that is forbidden or bad for the Islam.
What do you do at the hotel?
Sorry?
What do you do exactly there?
I'm at the business center. I'm just providing a service center for the businessmen, printing, photocopying.
I see. Okay. Okay, I'll answer you, Muhammad, inshallah azza wa jal. Barakallah feek. Ahmed, who called earlier from United Arab Emirates with a medical condition that would require cleanup before every prayer. By analogy to urine incontinence, first of all, would like to pray for you. I ask Allah the Great, the Lord of the Great Throne, to give you shifa and a quick recovery. Ameen. May Allah reward you for being patient for that disease. By analogy to the urine incontinence, the person will be required to clean up the impurities and make wudu after the time has entered of the current prayer, and pray all the relating nawafil of this fard, and the fard, the nawafil before or after, and the fard itself, and then for the next prayer, if he is praying every prayer or she is praying every prayer on time, there is no jamma, no combining, would be required also to make a new wudu and a tahara preceding the wudu, to clean up, then afterward to make wudu for that particular prayer. I know also that there is a lot of difficulty in performing wudu for every salah and having to clean up before making wudu, but there is also an immense reward that comes along with that. And also, even if the person is experiencing incontinence or urine dropping during the prayer is valid. The person does not have to leave the prayer in order to make wudu. Once I started the prayer, once I made wudu after the adhan or the prayer time has entered, and I made this wudu for this prayer, even if the person is still dripping urine, he or she can pray with that, and that is considered a state of tahara, but it will be only valid for this fard prayer and all the relating nawafil. Shafaki Allah wa afaki, wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Hawa from Nigeria, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have a question I want to ask concerning politics. In Nigeria, we have an issue because they are insisting. Actually, they think it is they're doing good to the women who folk, that there should be representation of women in Nigerian politics. And because the women, Muslim women, have a barrier, as in we have restrictions as to what we can do and what we cannot do. So we are left with the choice of not joining partisan politics. And unfortunately for us, Islam or Muslim women have to be represented. If we let the quota to the non-Muslims, that it means that the Muslim women and our children and all our Muslim issues, Islamic issues will not be protected, since it's left in the hands of the non-Muslims to represent the women that are in the country. So we need a fatwa on this one.
Okay, Sister Hawa, I will not be able to answer you today, even if I have time, because I'm not going to rely on my own personal research and study, rather because this is something that Muslims and Muslim activists are going through in Egypt and in the region nowadays. So I would consult this with many other scholars, inshallah Azza Jal, and hopefully in the next episode I'll get back to you with their answer. Jazakumullah khairan. And now, brothers and sisters, we'll need to take a short break, so stay tuned.
In your standpoint of view, are there specific or certain criteria to choose your spouse or a partner, to marry or not to marry? Maybe that's the question. Do we revise the quality of performance of our treatment between the family members as fathers or mothers? As they say usually, it's not what you say, it's how would you say it. Wouldn't you like to be a good storyteller for your kids? Neurobiologically speaking, child abuse and emotional trauma causes scars in the brain of the child, and this might be not easily healing. What's the exact job description of a father? Is it clothing, payments, and feeding, or other important things? Well, I think the job description of a father is merely giving him love and care, self-confidence, giving him sense of security, and checking for the points of strengths to strengthen them. What about potty training and its planning? Oh yeah, actually, it's a state, it's a condition. Fatherhood is not a body or a person, it's a state. Are you a good or skillful designer for the policy and the long-term plans of the life of your kids? Join us every Wednesday for Family Issues.
Please, brothers and sisters, in particular brothers, husbands, divorce is the last resort.
Even when I was given the topic, the art of divorce, I was thinking, why are we talking about a divorce?
As they say in management, do you take serious decisions when you are angry? No one is taking a very serious decision in his life, maybe in his business, while you are angry.
A divorce happening every 6 minutes.
We are not talking about enjoying the divorce, but we are talking about certain steps to be followed in order to avoid divorce or minimize the possibility of divorce or minimize the consequences of divorce. Any divorce taking place have many ill effects. So we would like to minimize those ill effects.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have a bunch of very important questions that we received today. The first one from Awal from Nigeria, concerning praying for others by saying after calling their names, radiyallahu anhu. So he said there is a dispute in Nigeria. Some say no, you cannot say that because it's only restricted to the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. And some say no, it is okay because it's a prayer. In fact, it is indeed a proclamation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made concerning the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. And that's why it is recommended every time we mention the name of a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we should say رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. May Allah be pleased with him. Unless if him and his father were companions, so in this case we say رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمَا. May Allah be pleased with both of them. But there is no problem to say the same invocations to contemporary people or scholars in general by saying radiyallahu anhu as an invocation or as a dua, but not specifying certain person, because when some people consider certain individuals as holy and they tend to give them traits which are not for them, traits perhaps were only for the prophets, you'll find some people will say sallallahu alayhi wasallam and so on. No. But if it is a prayer in general, then it is permissible. I can tell my son radiyallahu ank, may Allah be pleased with you. And I can tell any scholar radiyallahu ank. That's perfectly fine. If it is just a dua, not as an attachment that every time I mention his name I must say it, because in this case then I'm making this person as great as any of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. But as a prayer, it is permissible to pray for any person who is righteous with this prayer, because radiyallahu anhum is mere invocation, which means may Allah be pleased with him. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم. السلام عليكم. Salih from Switzerland. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last time I asked you a question about a friend who came late to pray at the mosque, and he prayed the Salatul.
I remember the question.
Yes, he prayed Salatul with us, and then but what I don't understand from the answer is that the joining of Salatul Subuh with Dhuhr, because I know you can join Dhuhr with Asr, Maghrib and Isha, but with Subuh and Dhuhr, is this allowed as he joined it? And also my second question is Salatu ala Nabi. My wife, she said that Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. Okay, in other places it's right Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So which one is correct? Is it Muhammadin or Muhammad? Can you clarify this for me, please?
Okay, since your question is relating to a previous question that you answered, I would just tackle it immediately. If the person prayed a prayer which consists of a lesser number of rak'ahs than the prayer that the Imam is offering, it is permissible. And in this case, the follower has a choice, is either to remain sitting until the Imam finishes his prayer. Then he makes taslim with him, okay? So he prays his 2 rak'ahs and he waits until the Imam finishes and he makes taslim with him. Or he can actually finish the prayer, but that's not recommended to be done in public because of this confusion that's happening right now. Okay? When we send the peace and the blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ by saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammad or Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin, this is a linguistic issue, which means in Arabic, for those who are following the program correct recitation, when we stop at any word, we apply sukoon, which is non-vowel. So when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by itself, we stop, we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But if we connect it, then Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Basically there is tanween of 2 zairs or 2 kasras. So the proper linguistic way when you stop is you say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And if the person still said Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin and did not connect it, nor did he continue the supplication or the sin and the peace and the blessings, the whole phrase, it is valid and there is no sin in it, but it's just a linguistic error. Okay? Barakallahu fikum. Jazakallah khairan ya Salih. Abu Bakr from United Arab Emirates, and it seemed like this question was presented before, that a Muslim woman wants to marry to a non-Muslim man, claiming that he's willing to change, he's willing to accept Islam. Let's put him into a serious test. Okay, accept Islam and we're not marrying. Will he still accept Islam? This is a serious issue, sister, because it's affecting your deen or aqidah. I have many cases in America. Same thing happened in the beginning. The sister said that the guy is willing to accept Islam, and since it was just mere wishes, and also claims he's not willing, nor is he convinced. It's just to legitimize their marriage. And this person, ever since he accepted Islam, did not offer a single prayer, does not adhere to any of the teachings of the deen. He's perhaps religionless, does not even believe in God. And this woman keeps convincing herself that, well, he said the kalima and he said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Is this sufficient to make a person a believer? Of course not. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ كَانَتْ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ نُزُلًا. There are other cases where the person came to the masjid and he showed interest in accepting Islam, and he pretended that he is really convinced, and after he got married, he never showed up again. As a matter of fact, his wife afterward told us that he is not even practicing Islam. So if you want to show people that he accepted Islam and he's not a Muslim, you're blameworthy. You'll be marrying a kafir, a non-Muslim, and such relationship in Islam is looked at as adultery and fornication. Furthermore, the greatest sin is, it's even greater than adultery, because you considered what Allah prohibited as lawful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَا تُنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا. Do not give your daughters in marriage to the non-believers until they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my advice is absolutely not. Don't even think about it. Let this guy accept Islam on his own. And after a few years, if he's really practicing Islam and he is convinced, then we will talk about it. But a woman brings somebody who wants to become a Muslim in order to marry her, if I'm the guardian, I will definitely disapprove that, especially due to my experience with many cases which I have seen the aftermath. Afterward, wherever I travel, many communities, the sister would come to me and would tell me her story, which has become typical to me. I know that the rest of the story, because they were in love, they liked each other, and she convinced him to become a Muslim. That is the only way. And sometimes a guy would come and say that, I actually want to accept Islam in order to get that certificate, because the law in that country would not allow me to marry unless if I'm a Muslim. So I cannot give him a certificate because he is not a Muslim. It's a matter of faith. It's not a matter of getting a green card of citizenship where you're willing to give up on your original nationality and whatever in the heart is in the heart. No. It's a matter of faith and conviction. If he's not convinced, then he's not a Muslim. And how do you know that he's convinced? Okay, we're not married. Will he still accept Islam and practice Islam and start learning the deen? In this case, the person is really serious about accepting Islam. But I doubt that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us what's best. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam, Sheikh.
Muhammad, assalamu alaikum.
I had a question, Sheikh.
Okay.
When giving a sadaqah, voluntary charity, is it more better to give it to people who are poor, or to give it to dawah organizations or to mosques and such places like community places, which is more better?
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
That's the question.
Jazakallah khairan. Muhammad from Egypt, who's working in a hotel for the past 7 years. The hotel, of course, serves wine. I hope and I pray and you join hands with me, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to recover Islam in the Muslim countries, where we'll be able to enjoy our Islamic teachings and will be ruled by our Islamic Sharia. He's working in a hotel that serves alcohol, and he's asking whether it is haram or halal. His main job is in the business center of this hotel. Your job currently is lawful because you're not related to the hotel in any way. You're not in the accounting, you're not in serving the food and beverages, none of that in the business center. Yet, if you can find a better job where you can earn your income 100% halal with no doubt, of course that's a priority. Jazakallahu khair. Muhammad from Qatar just asked about sadaqah and at-tatawwa given in a charity voluntarily. Is it better to pay to an Islamic center or a da'wah center or a community center, or to give it to the poor and the needy? The person is free with his voluntary sadaqah or donation to do as he wishes based on his best judgment. There is a fundraise that the community wants to build a masjid right now, and there is an imminent need. We have to pay, we have to settle the debt, or pay the payment, or to accomplish the building. So there is an imminent need here. Well, another case popped up. One sister is at the hospital and no one to support her financially. She's more worthy than others. There is a family who cannot pay the tuitions to their kids at school, or somebody who is sick, or a couple who wants to get married and do not have the means, an orphan, an orphanage. There are many, many doors which are open wide for goodness and righteousness, particularly the sadaqah. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked about a dinar, somebody said, I have some money. He said, spend it on your family members. He said, I have another one. He said, spend it on yourself. He said, I have another one. He said, ضَعْهُ حَيْثُ شِئْتَ. Give it away wheresoever you wish, as long as it is a charity. The priority, of course, is for those who are in imminent need, most, or relatives, because as-sadaqatu ala al-qareeb, given in a charity to one's relative, you receive double reward for it. The reward of upholding the ties of the kinship or salatul rahim, and the reward of giving in charity. Sometimes, due to what we see right now, the active campaigns of missionaries in converting Muslims, it is really terrible. If you travel as much as I travel, you go to certain parts of Africa and you see the missionary activities where there is, I believe, unlimited amount of fund to those missionaries. They have a great deal of fund. They are equipped with everything they need in order to convert whole villages. And a lot of people, unfortunately, due to the fact that they're in need for food, in need for medication and treatment, they just go by and they may convert. While we are sitting here, we're not doing much to protect our deen and to protect those who are on our deen. Some people are very active in da'wah, in bringing non-Muslims into Islam. Meanwhile, we see in front of our eyes thousands and tens of thousands of Muslims are exiting from the deen because of the need. And these missionaries who come from Europe, particularly, and the States, wheresoever I go, I find them. They pay very generously. They build hospitals and schools, and they pay money, they build houses, and meanwhile they give the Bible and convince people to convert from Islam. So when we know that there is one of these doors open for da'wah, we also have to support generously. This is a da'wah even though I do not say a word, I do not talk, I do not preach, but I support those who are giving da'wah and saving Muslims against conversion. Assalamu alaikum. Asia from Qatar. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've got a question regarding Umrah.
Yeah.
My brother is planning to go for Umrah. Is it permissible for him to make a second or third Umrah on somebody else's behalf from Masjid Aisha after he completes Umrah for himself? I'd be very happy if you could give me the answer now, because he's planning to leave shortly.
Well, if that will make you happy, Asia, inshallah, let me answer you in order to make you happy.
Thank you very much.
وجزاكم. There are two things. If somebody is already in Mecca and wants to offer a Umrah, where does he assume the intention of Ihram from? Where is the miqat then? You go to any point outside the sanctuary of Mecca, outside the Haram. There are certain points and markers where it says Bidayatul Haram, Nihayatul Haram, the beginning of the Haram. From any point, but the most prominent and the most well-known and the easiest for everybody is At-Tan'im, or what's known as Masjidu Aisha. Because Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha intended to perform Umrah after Hajj, because she had her menses, she could not perform the Umrah before Hajj. So after Hajj, she requested that from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he sent her brother Abdul Rahman along with her to At-Tan'im, where she performed Ihram. From there, she made the Talbiyah and she entered Mecca back in order to perform Umrah. Accordingly, this place is known as Masjid Aisha. Yes, it is permissible, and this is where you should make the intention of performing Umrah. Unlike the Hajj, you make it from inside Mecca, from wheresoever you're staying at. The second question is it permissible for one to make more than one Umrah at a time? It is permissible, but it is not recommended, nor is it the right thing to do. Why is that? Because the Prophet ﷺ performed 4 Umrahs in his entire life. Each trip he came to perform Umrah while he came a long way from Medina, and there were other walking or on the back of their camels and horses. It was more worthy than now that he should have done several Umrahs. But in each journey he only performed 1 Umrah at a time. So it is best to stick to what the Prophet ﷺ did. Remember what I said in the beginning? I said it's permissible. I cannot say it's haram, but it is not the best thing to do. Third question, which is, can I perform Umrah on behalf of somebody else while I travel to perform Umrah on Hajj or Hajj on behalf of myself? Yes, if this person is either dead or physically incapable to perform Umrah for himself or herself. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم. Nowadays, when I look at the Haram and it is so crowded, it looks like it is Ramadan or even the beginning of Hajj. I'm very, very pleased. Alhamdulillah wa shukrullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring the Iman into our heart and makes it sprout and grow bigger and bigger, so that we will return to our deen. May Allah teach us what we don't know and help us to act upon what we have learned. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. And until next episode, brothers and sisters, I leave you in peace. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.